Alright guys, as you can tell, I'm on sheer ice on an incline and I don't want to fall, but Nathan's behind the wheel of the brand new 2014 Nissan Rogue. Say hi, Nathan.
Hi, Nathan.
Now the cool part about the Rogue is that it's got this feature where if the front wheels slip, it allocates power to the rear wheels. And we're going to show that on this incline on pure ice. So Nathan, go on up. Check it out, no problem. This is sheer ice. I can't even get up this hill. I can't get up this hill, whereas the Nissan Rogue and Nathan had no trouble. So you know what's coming up next? The brand new 2014 Rogue off-road review.
Behold, the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine. This one puts out 170 horsepower, but more importantly, 175 pound-feet of torque, and it's hooked up to a continuously variable transmission. That's awesome, because in this particular case, it works really, really well. Granted, it's not fast, but this isn't a sports car. The good news is, you hear engine noise, yeah, okay, that's what happens with all CVTs, but you don't hear the whine coming off the transmission, so that's really good. And it's hooked up to an all-wheel drive system that seems to be pretty damn good.
In my humble opinion, this new Rogue is a much better looking Rogue than the old car it replaced. It's modern, it's elegant, and it's essentially a baby Pathfinder, especially in the front. And Nathan's right, these headlights are the best feature of the entire car. Look at these little projector bulbs. Look at this beautiful LED surround. I mean, you see this car coming down the road and it has presence, which I can't say about many SUVs or crossovers in this segment. This car actually has a lot of off-road capability. Some of those hidden buttons that you can't, of course, see include hill descent.
Yes, hill descent controls there.
And you can lock down the all-wheel drive.
That's right. So under a certain speed, I believe it's less than 20 miles per hour, you're able to lock up the rear end. So if you're in really deep snow, all four wheels are going to try to claw and get you out of it. Also works in mud.
Yeah, the one thing I'm concerned about taking this off-road is obviously ground clearance.
Yeah, it's not a lot. Look, this was never built for off-roading, so one of the things it has that's pretty low to the ground, just over 7 inches in the front, is the front bearings. That is made to block wind and everything else.
More aerodynamic.
More aerodynamic, exactly.
Yeah.
It's what you scrape when you go over curbs and whatnot, and it's pretty low. So we're not going to do anything hardcore with it, but we are going to go over some very slippery snow and ice, and we're going to do a little tiny bit of off-roading that normally you wouldn't do with a crossover. Much improved, much better, much more comfortable, much larger, less noisy. Those are a few things that I can use to sum up the interior of the new Nissan Rogue. Everything in here feels like it's higher quality, which is awesome, but there is a problem, and I'm looking right at it. The fake carbon fiber. Oh man, Nissan, how you have disappointed me. Look, even if it were real carbon fiber, putting that into a vehicle like this just doesn't make any sense. And frankly speaking, it looks a little cheap. And so you got such a nice interior with this cheap little extra addition here. It just doesn't seem like it's a very logical thing. So that's the bummer. Once again, though, for the most part, everything I'm touching is higher quality and, frankly speaking, makes me feel like I've spent money on the vehicle. There is another problem, a bit of a caveat when it comes to everything being logically laid out, and that's with all these buttons here on the left side. It's very uncomfortable and very difficult to reach down there and hit these buttons, especially the trunk release, which when you think about it, that's one that you would use often. But other things, hill descent control, all-wheel drive lock, the sport button, which doesn't really do a lot, and even traction control. Frankly speaking, these are all in places that are very difficult to reach. Unless, of course, you're left-hand dominant, but even then, your knee's there, it's uncomfortable. I wish Nissan put it over here somewhere.
Hierarchy of off-road ability is based on, of course, number 1, tires, number 2, ground clearance,
Absolutely.
number 3, approach and departure angles.
Yes.
And this is none of them.
No, it has none of those, and it also doesn't have underside cladding, and it doesn't have very good ground clearance. It is basically a station wagon, as many of the cars it competes with, which would be the Honda CR-V, the Toyota RAV4, even, and we're back and forth on this, the Dodge Journey. They all compete in a similar class, and frankly, none of them are really built to go off-road.
No, you're right. Even the Volkswagen Tiguan.
Yeah,
there's a lot of these cars, right? The Escape.
Oh, yeah.
The only one that's really off-road worthy in this category would be the Forester, and that's because it's got a lot of ground clearance.
A really good all-wheel drive system, and it's just, it is really ideal for stuff that's even harder. And then, of course, the Jeep Cherokee, which we've proven the Trailhawk is just a kick-ass off-road vehicle. The third row seat is only available on the SV model, and that is worth $940. So if you don't get it, what you can get is more room to put stuff underneath. Look at this. This is known as divide and conquer, I believe. And you could put these little plastic thingies here, like so, for a nice divide, or you can lift them all out of the way and get more space underneath. For me, what I like is that this is one of the more roomy compartments. Seats fold flat, including the front passenger seat, and there is enough room for Big Bad Nathan.
You know, Nathan, I just reviewed the BMW 328i GT. And they talked about the fact that, well, at least BMW talked about the fact that the seats adjust 28 different ways. This does the same thing. $20,000 less.
And it's better looking than the GT. I'm sorry, but it is.
One man's opinion is another man's big ass. All right, so the only one that is really off-road is the Subaru, the Jeep Cherokee, and the LR2. So
yeah, the LR2 is in a higher bracket, though. Well, yeah, but you see what we mean.
Yeah. For the most part, the RAV4s of this world aren't built to go off-road like this.
As we've proven.
Yes, as we have proven. But so far, so good. I see that this car is not stressed, and you know, these electronic features. Let's face it. I mean, those buttons down there are based on computer programming. They're not based on anything that's mechanical. It's based on a computer program that judges like the wheel speed and sees which one is locking up. Yes. That's how Hill Descent works.
Yes. Seating comfort, it is marvelous, especially in the front here. I like the headroom too. I'm about 6'1", and frankly speaking, I have plenty of space, and I think Big Bad Roman has space behind me too.
Yeah, Nathan, I mean, check this out. This door, look how wide that opens. It used to be the doors open to here.
Yeah.
And now it goes out all the way here. Plus, back here, stadium seating, so I'm sitting way up high, lots of leg room. It's just a very comfortable car. I can see a small family of 5, and if you get the optional rear seats, even 6, using this as an everyday family commuter.
And also, your seat slides and reclines, I believe.
Let me try it. Look at that!
Oh,
that is tight.
But there is another feature that this vehicle has that's all new, and it prevents what I like to call the anti-porpoise system. What it does is, as you're driving off-road, not off-road, but on dirt roads and whatnot, or if you're going over undulations, it'll actually trigger the ABS to keep the front end as level as possible. So as you're going over these things, your body is actually less jouncy than it would be normally, and that's because it triggers it just at the right time to kind of minimize the front end push and porpoising. I love this feature. This is the bird's eye view that was perfected initially with Infiniti, and now it's gone to many of the Nissan vehicles out there. And if you go slow enough, you can actually use it for driving. It's specifically made for parking, but look at this. You're able to keep the cameras on, going low speed, and it can actually help you avoid certain obstacles.
Hey Nathan, I can see that big rocket's going to show us hitting in this
Yeah,
low-slung road.
Yeah, it's coming up. Now I already hooked up the, push the button for the 4-wheel drive lock.
All right.
It's actually known as all-wheel drive lock.
All right, guys. Here comes the rocky bit. Check it out.
Yep, here we go.
There it goes, right there.
I am fully confident of the first one.
All right.
Here we go.
Yeah, that one's good. Let's see
No problem.
See if you can see the rocky bit coming up on our left driver's side. There it is, right there. There's the rock.
Traction.
Oh, we're struggling. We're struggling.
You did it.
It did it, but
It wasn't happy.
no, not like the Jeep Cherokee just flew up this.
It
Yeah.
yawned as it was going over.
Yeah,
I'm not going over that one on the left because that'll chew up our
for sure.
underside.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Nathan. Pathfinder Rogue. Which would you get if it were your money?
I actually would prefer the Rogue. I think the Pathfinder is a great vehicle. It's much larger, but for a small family, and I have a small family, this seems like the right size vehicle for the deal.
You know, I find it interesting that out of the 3 trim levels, they only put the 3rd row into one of them.
Yeah, the mid one.
Yeah, because they don't want you competing or thinking that you're going to buy the Pathfinder versus this. I'm guessing. So, on the TFL scale of buy it, lease it, rent it, or forget it, what do you give it?
I give it a buy it.
I'm there with you. Buy it. It's a good car. It's the most improved car of 2014, and I am thoroughly impressed.
Well done, Nissan.
As always, this is Roman
And Nathan
saying thanks for watching and see you next time.
on the Fast Lane Car.
Yeah, ciao.
Yeah.